Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Dominique Davis, also known as Brown and Bendy, and here on this channel we practice flexibility of the mind, the body, and the spirit. I hope that you are doing well today. I'm going to give a couple of community notes. If you would like to skip right on past these, just check the description box and there will be a timestamp for when the video starts. So first things first, if you do not know, I have a scripting journal and it looks like this, and it's filled with tips and tricks to help you deepen your scripting practice. It was a labor of love. I love mine so much, and just seeing myself get through the book and reach the different tips that I embedded in it, it helps me feel like I'm moving on my journey. It's like me giving myself momentum. Does that make sense? If you would like to try your own hand at your own hand, get it? Because there's a hand in the journal. If you would like to try your own hand at scripting, winning a scripting journal, then all you have to do is comment and engage on the channel. There will be a giveaway in February where I give away one free scripting journal, and I just select the winner from my comments. All you got to do is engage and be a part of the community. Also, I get asked quite often, what books do I recommend for someone on their spiritual journey? So I have made a list of the top 10 books that I recommend. These are books that I read at the beginning of my journey, and some of them are books I reread once a year, because I just need to remind myself of the laws that I intellectually live by. So if you want to check that out, the links are in the description. They are affiliate links. So if you buy a book from that list, you are helping to support the channel. Last but not least, tomorrow will be Fulfilled Fridays, where we talk about our manifestation stories. So today's video will be your last chance to comment your story until the next week. So it's not really like your last chance, but if you would like a chance to be included in tomorrow's video, just leave a story time about your manifestation. It could be big, it could be small, it doesn't matter. You never know how your story can impact another person. So if you've manifested something, please share it, because I would love to share it. And that is that. Okay, let's get into the video. Making space within ourselves so that we can tap into our unlimited potential. We make the space so that we no longer have to play small. I think when we do not have this space, we play small energetically, because in order for us to expand our vision of what we want to manifest, that means we have to make internal space ourselves. So that's a reason why I think a lot of us are so attached to moving slowly and clinging to what makes us comfortable, because we have so much going on inside that there's not space for growth. So today's video is going to be super duper simple concepts. A lot of my videos are simple. It's not so much that they're complicated ideas. It's more so that it's whether you're dedicated enough to your journey to say, okay, I'm implementing this today, I'm living by this today. So the first thing I want to talk about is something we've been saying here on the channel quite often, which is where our attention goes, energy flows. So remember that where attention goes, energy flows. And I want you to remember that we do not have an infinite amount of energy. Our mind can really only think about one thing at a time, with a bunch of little other thoughts kind of running amok, right? But we can only focus on one thing at a time. Now, I know that there's multitasking and there's juggling your attention. Yes, we can look at life that way, but when we look at focusing energy, the only way that we can focus our energy with our entirety of our body is by focusing on one thing at a time. So when we look at our daily lives, what are we focusing on? And when things happen, when our circumstances change, when something inconvenient happens, what in that circumstance do we choose to focus on? That is something that you need to learn about yourself and practice honesty with yourself on, because whatever you're focusing on is what ends up taking up space. So the content of what you're focusing on, the energetic content of it, is what is taking up space in your mind and affecting your vibration. For example, let's say that you you are a nanny. I'm looking for a babysitter. So I'm like on all these babysitter boards, and I saw this horrible story. It's not horrible, but it made my heart hurt. It recently snowed in North Carolina, and a young lady had just started working for a family, and she couldn't make it to their house because it had snowed, and she asked them whether she could pick up her money from the last week. And they said, because you missed out on the day that you made a commitment to because of the snow, we're not paying you because we've missed out on money. And I could see the turmoil that this young lady was going through, because she understood where she was right and she understood where she was wrong. And I applaud. You heard my New York accent come out just a little bit. I applaud this young lady for being so grounded in her response, and even coming to the group to ask for others' opinion on how she should go about the situation. And I think that the way she went about the situation was perfect for not only her mental health, but if she is on a spiritual journey, her spiritual journey as well. So let's say that you are her. Let's say that you are a nanny and you have worked for a family and they owe you $600, right? You miss a day because of snow. And now this family says, we are not going to pay you the money because you didn't show up for work and we had to miss work. And that came out of our pockets, and, fallout from that. So where does your attention go? Does your attention go on, they're not paying me, now I don't have this money, now I don't have a family to work for, now these people are evil, these people are doing me wrong, these people are making my life harder? Is that where our attention goes? Or does our attention go to, there are two sides to this. These people are disappointed. These people feel as though they've been wronged, just as I've been wronged. These people, even though they owe me money, I didn't show up for my half of the agreement. Now, the reason why this is so important is because there's levity. In every situation you go into, being grounded and staying grounded is not always going to mean everything's positive, everything's great, I am one with everything that is good, and I don't care about the $600. I mean, of course, we would love to get there. We would love to get there. And if you're there, congratulations. But in real life, depending on where you are, it's not going to always be light and dark, this duality of two completely separate mindsets. A lot of times when we're making space in ourselves for a higher vibration, it's going to be just about finding levity. So what this young lady did was, instead of hyper focusing on the money she was missing out, hyper focusing on how the people who have hired her, how they are breaching their contract, she is deciding to find compassion within herself, to see their side, and to ask others to help her be compassionate to see their side. Now, a step forward, a step ahead of that, depending on where a person is on their spiritual journey, would be to leave it peacefully. But I'm not going to say I'm even at that place to do that. Leaving it peacefully would mean I would apologize and say, I am sorry that I missed that day. And depending on my financial situation, I hope that we would be able to say, okay, well, I'm not going to get that money. I worked for it and I'm not going to get it. Because walking away and finding your peace from that situation is ultimately finding your faith in source. It can be so difficult to find our faith in source and our faith in our circumstances when we feel like we have been wronged from other people. This is such a deep example, but it's important. And I feel like hopefully it has illuminated my point to someone. So where our attention goes, energy flows, and attention is not infinite. Every day, we are in situations where we must control where our attention is going within that situation, because there is a spectrum of what we could focus on. There is a spectrum of what we can think. There's a spectrum of where we can send our energy. And with that prior example, I would like to re-explain that she could have sat and gotten angry and mad and sat in the vibration of helplessness. And then what solution would that have gotten to her, for her? What she was able to do was at least find a sense of compassion and to grow a part of herself. And even though on that day, it may not feel like it, on her whole journey, she has made space. She has made space for something good to come into her life. She has made herself more capable, more mature, more ready for whatever source is bringing to her by practicing that compassion. And I would like to end this by saying that the family did agree to pay her for the time that she was gone, or for the time that she worked. So the next thing I want to say is that we have to free ourselves from the thoughts that make us believe that we are limited. Right? Because when we believe we are limited, we are separating ourselves from the unlimited potential of this universe. So when we tell ourselves, these are the key words, right? These are the key words. I can't, and never. When I can't comes up in your mind and when never comes up in your mind, those are indications that we are thinking from places of, it's impossible for me. It might be possible for everyone else, but it's impossible for me. Keeping ourselves in a box, not really allowing ourselves to explore what this life has for us. And I was talking to a friend the other day, and I was explaining to her that my manifesting abilities really started to take off when I started separating my ego from my spirit. I started separating Dominique from my spirit because Dominique had a lot of low self-worth. But as spirits, each and every person on this planet who is alive has birthrights to safety, birthrights to wealth, birthrights to abundance. And even though man can separate us from feeling as though we can access these things by realigning with source and understanding and believing in our birthright, God brings us back to the things that we were meant to have by being here, from getting here. So all this to say that when we start to say, I can't and never, we are becoming so attached to our ego. We are saying, from my past experiences, I can't do this. From my past experiences, I've seen that this will never happen. And we need to learn to shift into the unlimited potential of this universe, the unlimited potential of our spirit, and say, anything is possible. Anything can happen. I can do anything. I can be anything. I can experience anything because I am magic and magic is in me, because that is what reality is about. We have to separate from these earthly rules and allow ourselves to transcend the earthly rules if you want to see the magic. And a lot of that is making decisions to focus your energy in the moment. Because honestly, I don't like to say that everything's a test, because of schooling, we see that as like, oh, I can fail, and there's no failing. But every situation is an opportunity to expand our understanding of the unlimited, how we react to every situation. For example, if going back to the example before, if those people told that woman, we're not paying you, and that young lady decided, it's a choice, that young lady decided to immediately go into scarcity and lack mindset. And I want to revise that a little bit, because we can be triggered by scarcity and lack, triggered to the point where we feel like we are not in control of our emotions. But I do want to let you know that you do have power over your actions. You have power over your actions and your emotions through being present. Okay. So if she were to completely be triggered by scarcity and lack and fear, she could have chose to curse those people out. She could have chose to egg those people's houses. She could have chose to go on every parenting board and say, do not work for these people. They will not pay you. She could have chose to act from places of darkness and shadow and spite, right? She could have chose that. And that would have been a result of believing that without the money from those people, she has no other lifeline. Putting herself in this box. But through her response of being compassionate and choosing to see the other side, she was able to open her heart to God, to the universe, and say, there's a lot of energetic complexity going on here, but I'm loving them and I'm loving myself. I'm just loving everybody. And through doing that, She was able to open her heart to a solution coming to her. She was able to receive a solution that she would not have been able to receive if the walls of fear and the walls of anger and the walls of being malicious were all up. Now, today's video dealt a lot with, someone has wronged me and how I respond when someone has taken advantage of me, those emotions. But this is true for every interaction, every scenario separate from interactions with people. This is true for even circumstances when things happen in our lives that are unexpected that have nothing to do with other people. The way that we move through life and what we choose to focus on as we move through life determines how much internal space we are creating. If we stick to love, if we stay with love, then we are moving through a clarity. We are moving through a simplicity that allows us to think clearly, see clearly, speak clearly, and love freely. And that's what creates all the space for the good stuff. But when we act and respond out of places of fear and scarcity and lack and all of the things that come from thoughts of scarcity and lack, we put up the walls to receiving, and we fill our internal space with the thoughts that align with that fear, scarcity, and lack from the past, things that we don't need anymore. But we fill ourselves with boxes and boxes and boxes filled with memories of the past when we choose to align our mind with thoughts of fear and shadow. Because the fear and the shadow come from our experiences in the past. So the way that we stop playing small, the way that we choose to go forward with confidence, with space in our heart for the unlimited to happen, is by moving through love, moving through compassion, and knowing that whatever happens, we can always come back to love and having an open heart, because that will give us internal space. So as we start to manifest slowly but surely, bigger and bigger and bigger things, as our faith increases, we can allow our faith to increase while sticking with a perspective of love. And as our faith increases, and as the trials and the tests and the scenarios become a little more complex for us to work through, we can always come back to faith. We can always come back to love. And you will see that your manifestations will become bigger and bigger and bigger, and they will never go backwards. They will always continue to increase the more you allow space for the space inside you to exist, because the space inside you is unlimited. The space inside you, there is no limit to the amount of energy that you can attract, the type of energy that you can attract, the huge potential of what you can attract. There's no limit, but you got to have space for it. Okay. All right. So that's that. I hope that you enjoyed this video, because I enjoyed making it. If you did, give it a thumbs up so other people on the channel, on the platform, know that it's valuable. Also, if you would like me to expand on anything that I talked about today, please be sure to let me know down in the comments. And last but not least, if you would like to subscribe and click that notification bell so that you can be notified when I come out with new videos, that'd be great. And you can join the Bendy bunch. Become a reality Bendy yourself, because it's lit here. I love you so much. And I will see you tomorrow for Fulfilled Fridays. I love you so much. Bye, guys. See you later.